Hi, my name is Malaika Nasir and my student ID is 231133006. Today we'll be presenting our research on greenwashing on food marketing and especially on the misleading environmental statements. It is one of the topic in our digital marketing module where we learned about our consumer insights. As consumer demands for sustainability grows, brands often exploit this by falsely marketing the products as green or eco-friendly. Our study dives into how this practice affects the consumer trust, behavior, and the ethical responsibilities of the marketers. We'll also provide a regulatory analysis and recommendations to prevent this. We'll also provide the regulatory analysis and the recommendations to prevent these false green claims. In the greenwashing of food basically is the habit of overstating or misleadingly describing the environmental benefits of the products that the company may make their products to be appear as ecological, and like which can involve misusing of words like eco-friendly, sustainable, or like, so this without any proof. So this pretenders make customers fools who actually want to make the healthy and ethical and ecological choices. In this research, we will analyze the history of greenwashing of food and the industry, outlining its impacts on the customers' trust, and also analyzing the and identifying the regulatory loopholes that makes it feasible. The problem is relevant because it's affect consumers' health, customer freedom of choice, and obviously environmental stability. So now the companies which like perform the greenwashing in food, like they just pretend to be eco-friendly and natural while they are not, always false to customers and mislead them, hence creating unfair competition. They also make it harder to trust on environmental labels as people become more like aware of climate changes and healthy choices, so they started relying more on ethical changes in like food advertising. This is why that's an important topic to discuss in the research. Our research wants to make sure that the companies are honest in the marketing and protect customers by their honesty and responsibility, mental sustainability. So, as these false green claims like eco-friendly and natural false our consumers and customers, misleading them, we have divided them into four main divisions. Let's go through them. So the first one is to identify the tricks that is used in greenwashing in food, like unclear labels or pictures that can make the product visibly more eco-friendly or when it's not. And the second one, and the most important, is to understand and to study that how this affects the people, the consumers, the customers, that how they feel, what they think, and what they want to buy and what are they actually buying. So the third one is how successful are the existing standards like AMA and EU and CMA for preventing the greenwashing in food. So the fourth and the last one is to give them the honest and true decisions that to protect the customers and to more rely on and support the genuine brands. So by reaching these goals, our study hopes to expose the lies for the false green claims in food industry. And like we've got four questions of our research. The first one is that what are the common factors of greenwashing, like using false or misleading labels, such as eco-friendly and natural. So the second question we've got is that how far these reveals help the consumers. Do they educate or are they still misleading? So the third question we've got is like how successful are the existing standards like EU, ASA, and CMA derivatives in preventing the greenwashing in food? And lastly, what can be done to ensure increased transparency and accountability? They form the foundation of our questions and relate theoretical reasonings to the food marketing and actuality. So for our research study, we have used qualitative case study method to look for 20 products sold in UK supermarket. So we analyze and spot the greenwashing in like we try to spot the misleading labels or wrong false claims like pictures or images. We also use past research, government rules, and the consumer study based behaviors to help our understandings better. Our approach basically focused on the hidden meaning of the marketing and how it affects the people thinkings and choices. Well, we didn't study a lot of products, but still our findings can give the insights to the common trends and the problems in green food marketing. So now my next team member will present for the thank you.
Hello, this is Syed Mohammad Murtaza and my student ID is 231000217. So coming towards my slide, which is the background of the study. So greenwashing is the most annoying in the food industry where the consumer choice is influenced by advertising on huge scale. British supermarket shelves are lined with the products that have like natural or ECO labels without real support. This gives her a false impression of sustainability. With green conscious consumers on the rise, companies cash or this trend. The absence of specific legal definition allows room for such practice. Our own research position itself here, operating both like development, green branding, and the concurrent development of regularity. If I talk about my next slide, which is the case study overview, if I talk about this slide, within our case study, we find five of the most important greenwashing strategies used in the food marketing. Uh, they are false eco labels, over-tasted health claims, and deliberate employment of green imagery. The consequences of such behavior are serious, like very serious. They erode consumers' trust. They basically mislead the decision making as well, and transition the ingredients of the products. We further illustrate how regulations are ineffective in managing fuzzy or misleading statements. For example, examples of food brands are shown to demonstrate that greenwashing is effective in practice and why inventions is necessary in the most absolute sense. Coming to talk about the theoretical framework, basically our explanation draws on two theoretical frameworks: the consumer behavior theory and signaling theory. To explain the way greenish functions and how it achieves its purpose, consumer behavior theory teaches that individual tends to make choices based upon mental shortcuts. Therefore, for instance, if the product appears to be green, customers believe it is to be environmentally friendly. A product even in the absence of evidence, right? Signaling theory explains how the brand send subtle signals via packaging, color, labels, or act as quality signals. Greenwich sends false signals, making a gap between what the consumer sees and what the product has to offer. This gap can lead to misinformation and make consumer choose sustainable options. Such theories do not only assist in comprehending marketing approaches but also show how to combat deceptive measures. Connecting theory and practical strategies enables more evolved examination of the methods in which the psychological consumer process can be influenced and what works in intervening. So coming towards my next slide, which is stakeholder analysis. So if I talk about the stakeholder analysis, the greenwashing in food marketing has far-reaching implications for stakeholders, for the consumers. It is deception, wastage of resources, irritation upon realizing that they have been cheated. Genuine business also suffer when fraudulent brands succeed in business through false declarations. Um, Green organization and NGO sees their messages of sustainability as lies become commonplace here. Sellers of greenwash product jeopardize their reputation, particularly if the consumer and the media organize opposition of them. Certification organization also lose out when their seal are forged, and the greenwash can only be addressed with collaboration among consumers, brands, regulators, organizations. A multi-stakeholder approach ensures that not only the responsibility enforced, but also that the incentives are directed towards actual environment benefits and market. So coming towards my next slide, which is the conclusion of the literature review. Our literature review indicates that the greenwashing is not a phenomenon that is new, but rather increasingly becoming sophisticated. As indicated by the research such as Isaac, uh, and there was like Brenny, they point out that how ambiguous green claims influence consumer trust and purchase behavior. The review indicates that regardless of increased consumer awareness, and most consumers still only rely on packaging to look for the environmental information, placing them at a risk of being manipulated. Regulatory accounts also stress that there must be tighter definition and informants procedures in the place to stem green marketing uh, agencies. The further slides, I will like to call my other group member Numan to explain further. Thank you.
My group may discuss the overview, introduction, and the background of the case study and the topic. Now I discuss the data analysis of this slide. We have examined the UK supermarket packaging and the promotional material. It shows by our work that heavy usage of the term and the eco and organic is uncovered, and the visual impression along with the unsustained deceptive affect consumer purchasing decision. The third party certification also illustrate the inconsistency in the data, where like the lack of standardization being the result. This support or our argument that greenwashing is we separate the hard for the ordinary consumer to the identify. This slide will discuss the I group type of the greenwashing found in more than the 20 food widely sold in UK. I also analyzed the how companies utilize the visual signal, such as the color green or deception of the natural to communicate the environmental responsibility. I also found some unverified or inexact claim, for instance, 100% natural or eco-smart, lacking an context such the certification. Other even display the untrackable or forced eco labels, sometimes that confirmed or mislead our ordinary consumers. Though the validation such as claim with the real ingredient list, business declaration, CMA and the ASA likewise, I was able to find a few examples where the packaging categorically violated consumer protection regulation. This proved the case for fighter enforcement and the consolidation labeling system. And this study and this slide, I discuss the life cycle of the thinking of the greenwashing. The life cycle thinking is basically is the broader approach for the consider the environmental effect of the product, but the businesses on the focus on the production and the shipping as well the consumption and the end of the life. But the company tend to only focus on the packaging and the recycle, but ignore the more considerable environmental damages like the emission or the resources uses. Our the diagram indicate the how most greenwashing statement leave out the large state of the life cycle. For instance, a product may claim to contain the organic ingredient, but the produced in energy hungry factories or the packages in non-recyclable material. And the life cycle thinking is a way of fighting the shallow green claim for requiring the transparency. It forces the companies to only consider their actual impact and the uses the regulator to go on beyond the one attribute assessment. Prevent type of greenwashing is the food sector. Our analysis to found to verify to repeat the strategies send the undefined language such as the gluten-free or the naturally gluten-free product and the use of the color. They also make it difficult for the consumer to discern the what is legitimate and the illegitimate conduct, cutting down on the competition for the genuinely responsible brand. In this slide, I discussed the awareness of the greenwashing consumer. And then, despite rising awareness, our research found that the most consumer are not well aware of the greenwashing. They respond the positively, but the imagery, but hardly anyone verify the certification or the reader. This create a gap between the intention and the behavior. Like as the people want to buy the sustainable, but are misled by the marketing tactics. And it also be the consumer campaign and the education make people aware, so can think the critically about green claim and the policy campaign. Now I look forward to my next group mate.
Hello everyone, I'm Gagan Narasimhamurthy. I am here to explain you guys about the effectiveness of existing laws. We discovered the functions of advertising standard authorization, competition and market authority. In the UK, there are regulations, but there is enforcement by degrees. There are no clear legally enforceable definitions of what natural or eco-friendly are in regulatory settings. These leave loopholes that business take advantage of. Our research indicates that existing regulations fails to protect consumers or enable genuinely sustainable business. Enhanced enforcement and standard definitions are essentials to minimize misleading the claims. Industries and regulatory adjustments required. In order to combat greenwashing, we recommend six measures. These are not to adopt legal definitions for green statements, enhance education for stakeholders, incentives to sustainability, innovation, and push third party verified certification. These would increase the transparency of claims and dispute shallow promotion government industry organization. And consumers will have to work together to introduce these reforms. Policy, education, and business ethics have to combine to make bold steps against greenwashing. Here are the recommendations. We have categorized our proposal as short term and long term actions. Short-term actions include public awareness campaigns, high intent adherence to ASA and CMA codes, and promotion of third-party certification. Long-term proposals include legally delineating core terms, concentration of green claim regulations, and promotion of real sustainability initiative. These actions would cleanse the environment of food advertising and make it more ethical, competitive, and environmental friendly. Their applications would curb fraud and help regain the trust of consumers. Implications for marketers and consumers. Greenwashing harms not just consumers but also brand reputation. The lessons for marketers is straightforward. Misleading marketing may bring instant gains but can potentially destroy long term trust. Brands must instead move towards credibility and transparency for consumers. This translates to being more questioning of labels, fast checking claims, and demanding more transparency. And educated, questioning consumer base will make brands think about being more responsible and ethical. Future work and limitation. Our research was not without its limitation. We are looking at a relatively small universe of 20 plus products. We are looking primarily at UK supermarket. We also were working with data that was available, and there can be marketing plans which we are not aware of. We do recommend in the future more large scale research looking at regulation across countries and long term reputational implications of greenwashing. We also need to look at social media and influencers because they increasingly play in determining sustainability narratives. Here is a conclusion. Overall, food greenwashing is an epidemic that's misleading consumers and eroding true sustainability. Although there are regulations in place now, they are weak and poorly enforced. Consumers are more and more signaling alarm. but still steamed for separating truth from myth. Our study illustrates the necessity of government overall, stakeholders, education, and honest to goodness marketing. And finally, true to goodness sustainability is not simply the ethical correct thing to do. In reality, it's a business imperative for brands who want to establish long term briefly and loyalty. Thank you.